They're here.
So yeah, at first, I just didn't know what to do.
At first, Daddy was confused.
I didn't know it was going to affect people in Nassau and Freeport.
And then I told him it was just the first 3 numbers.
Our new phone numbers have arrived, but there is no need to be afraid. Only the first 3 numbers have changed. The new numbers are in effect now.
The Prime Minister shocked by the recent resignation of the Cable and Wireless CEO.
It was most certainly unexpected by me.
The young man accused of stabbing his grandmother to death remanded today. Meantime, Kofi Goodman will have to wait to learn his fate for the murder of 11-year-old Marco Archer. Phase 3 of LPIA Open, we'll take you there. Plus, find out how you can paint the streets pink tomorrow. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Here are the stories coming out of the newsroom this Friday evening. After months of negotiations with Cable and Wireless Communications to take back a 2% stake in BTC, Prime Minister Perry Christie admitted he was caught off guard by the resignation of CEO Tony Rice, who was in the middle of reaching a deal with government. Now, the Prime Minister said the move could potentially halt the government's attempt to gain control of the telecommunications company. Paige McCartney has more.
There is only the implication that it was most certainly unexpected by me, because my cabinet had only just had before it on Tuesday last the negotiating committee presenting to us the submissions of Tony Rice as to settling the issue of the 2%. And we had just had that presentation by Mr. Franklin Wilson and his committee on Tuesday last. And that committee, having received directions from the cabinet, was to go and communicate further with Mr. Rice, only to be told and advised this morning that he had resigned.
Christie's comments came hours after Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union President Bernard Evans expressed concerns over what he called uncertainties fueled by the resignation. He said this new leadership change for the board of BTC is a scary situation for the union. The Prime Minister, however, is more concerned about why the seemingly sudden resignation took place.
We have to determine whether the negotiations had some implication to what happened to him.
The Prime Minister said the deal offered was under certain conditions. However, he didn't want to make public those conditions at this time. However, he said he may publish them sometime in the future.
He specified what he would want to happen. You know, and I mean, he wanted a better relationship between the Bahamas government and Cable Wireless, you know, and other matters.
According to a statement from CWC, Bentley led the turnaround of British Gas, increasing profits from £300 million to £1.1 billion and sales by over 30%. Bentley will succeed Wright with effect from January 1st, 2014, and will also become the new chairman of the board of BTC. For MB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
Several onlookers gathered at the Nassau Street Magistrates Court this afternoon to get a glimpse of the young man accused of stabbing his grandmother to death just last week. 21-year-old Jonathan Bethel was stoic when he appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt in Court Number 9. Bethel was charged for the murder of his 72-year-old grandmother, Vivian Johnson, on Saturday, October 12th. Police say the elderly woman was stabbed in her neck several times at her Greenway Drive home off of Carmichael Road. She was found on the floor of a bathroom toward the rear of her house around 8:30 that night, but police believe she was killed earlier that day. Officers say Bethel lived with his grandmother. As several of his family members looked on in court today, the 21-year-old stood quietly as the magistrate read the murder charge. Bethel was not required to enter a plea to that charge. His attorney, Glendon Roll, said that his client was beaten about his chest and lower body while at the Central Detective Unit. At one point, Bethel began unbuttoning his green plaid collar shirt, exposing a light blue t-shirt underneath. Roll asked the court to take note of the red color on his client's t-shirt. Acting Chief Magistrate Ferguson Pratt said the court can say what it sees but can't say how it got there. She said, quote, "The court does see a soiled shirt." Roll asked that his client see a doctor because he is in pain. The court made a note of the abuse claims and Bethel's request to see a doctor. Bethel was then escorted from the courthouse where a group of onlookers waited, many of whom jeered loudly, some at police and others at the young man accused of killing his grandmother. The 21-year-old was remanded to Her Majesty's prison. The matter was adjourned to January 17th at 12 p.m. Sentencing in yet another high-profile murder trial has been delayed. One day after convicted murderer Stephen Dye Stubbs' sentencing was postponed, convicted child killer Kofi Goodman was informed he'd have to wait a few more days to learn his fate. Goodman's attorney called it a disgraceful state of affairs. Vonique Toot has the details.
Though Goodman was expected to be sentenced today, Justice Bernard Turner adjourned the matter to Monday to give both the prosecution and defense a chance to look over his psychiatric report, which they received this morning. Goodman, who faces the death penalty, was convicted of the 2011 murder of 11-year-old Marco Archer. Justice Turner informed the defense and prosecution that he received Goodman's psychiatric report yesterday. Goodman's attorney, Jeffrey Thackerson, said it was the first time he was hearing of this and called it a disgraceful state of affairs. He asserted that the amendment to the law, which states that reports must be submitted before sentencing. Meantime, prosecutor Garvin Gaskin informed Turner that he was prepared to return to court at 2:30 this afternoon. However, Turner felt they should wait until next week. Outside court, Thackerson told reporters that the two sides would make submissions on Monday. However, he says he highly doubts his client would be sentenced on that day.
We just want that to be over and done with, and as quickly as possible. But we believe that the judge will take time to render his decision, and that even after he hears us on Monday, there will still be a delay, and only the judge will know how long a delay before he actually sentences Mr. Goodman. We trust that it is not very long, but we have full confidence that that will not happen on Monday.
But that's not the only thing Thackerson took issue with. Inside court, he asserted that the probation report submitted to the court is, quote, tainted by corruption and unlawfulness from beginning to end. He noted that pages 7 and 8 of the 10-page probation report contained reports of conversations between the probation officer and Marco Archer's family. Thackerson called this corrupt interference. Justice Turner asked the defense attorney if he would like to cross-examine the probation officer or if he feels the court should not consider that report. Thackerson insisted, though, that an inquiry be launched to determine if the officer approached Marco's family or if his relatives approached her, asserting that this could be criminal. Failing that, he says he would take the matter to the Commissioner of Police. Turner then adjourned the matter to Monday, October 21st at 10 a.m. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
And in other court news, the man who accused former 8 Mile Rock High School teacher Andre Berbal of raping him multiple times over a 5-year period today said when doctors examined him, he had a slice on his buttocks. The witness, who entered into his second day on the stand, continued his emotional testimony. Defense attorney Ramona Farquharson suggested several times that the witness was lying and accused him of creating drama because he is faced with his lies. The witness, who cried throughout his testimony, accused Farquharson of talking foolishness. Farquharson suggested again that the doctors found no signs of trauma when he was examined. The witness shouted, "What sense would that make?" During several instances during the cross-examination, the witness bent over and cried. After several minutes of cross-examination by Farquharson, the witness started to shake and told Justice Roy Jones that he needed a break. When he returned, Farquharson suggested again that the doctors found nothing wrong with him in 2009. He denied that the doctor told him that. The witness said he went to see the principal in 2009 to report his abuse. The witness said when he went to the meeting, several people were in the room, including Berbal and several headmistresses. He told them that Berbal raped him, he said. However, he said no one believed him. Berbal's retrial continues Monday. A 35-year-old murder suspect was arrested early this morning by officers of the Selective Enforcement Team. According to reports, around 2 officers acting on intelligence went to the Pinewood Gardens home. Police want to question him in connection with the August 24th murder of Omar Moxie. The 21-year-old died in hospital a few hours after he and 2 other men were shot at Potters Key Dock.